amazing value here. So these guys are the ones that were selling their grapes previously to the prestige brands, right? But they don't have that brand, so they're going to have to offer it on the market for less. Therefore, you pay less for the same quality. So always look for RM if you're going to go buy a specialty bottle of champagne. Okay, we're getting close to the end. So let's talk about what you can expect from champagne. First and foremost, throw away your champagne flutes. Seriously. If you have one now, it's fine. Whatever, drink it from the champagne flute. But flutes are designed, honestly, they're only designed for looks. These glasses are designed for the purpose of being able to smell the aromas better. So for champagne, I would say just use a regular white wine glass. You can even use a red wine glass. But the idea is smell enhances, aromas enhance flavor, right? Have you ever tried to eat with your nose closed, or when you're stuffy or sick or whatever? You can't really smell something and you can't taste something. It tastes like cardboard. So the same thing happens when you drink wine. If you can't fully smell it, you're not going to be able to taste it as well. Okay, now let's talk about the wine itself. If you looked at the tasting guide that we sent out before, you'll know that the fruit aromas are what are called primary aromas, meaning they come from the grape itself. If you smell brioche or cream or any toasty aromas, that comes from the yeast cells, so the lees that I was talking about earlier, on which the champagne is aged. And it can also come from oak too, so you can get some aromas from oak. Those are called secondary aromas because they come from the winemaking process, not the grape. And then finally, if you have a bottle that's aged for a little while, or even just as long as this one was aged, you might get some tertiary aromas, so aromas that come from the aging process. They're more oxidative, and they might be like a little more nutty in profile. I would expect only light tertiary aromas with this bottle, but you never know. I mean, you could smell it a lot if that's the way your nose is tuned. And then onto the palate. So typically champagne has very high acidity because it's hard to ripen grapes there, as I mentioned, which means the alcohol tends to be on the lower end of the spectrum, you can see 12% nowadays because of climate change. And it finishes super dry and super crisp normally, unless you get one of the sweeter expressions of champagne.
Alex, I think you've caused like a minor coup with this whole champagne flute information.
Oh no.
There's a lot going on in the chat right now.
Well, if you have flute, drink it out of the flute, it's fine. Or drink it out of a cup. Drink it out, I mean, it doesn't really matter as long as you're here having fun. All right, so a little bit of history in your glass, guys. Let's talk about what you're drinking and discuss a fun story involved with this particular house. So Paul Roger is my favorite big house base bottling, not only because it's damn good, but also because of its long-standing relationship with Winston Churchill, Sir Winston Churchill. Churchill was such an avid champagne drinker that he drank 42,000 bottles reputedly in his life. And he loved Paul Roger so much that he developed a very personal and close relationship with the house. In fact, every year on his birthday, he would receive a case directly from the managing director and heiress, Odette Paul Roger. The relationship grew throughout his life, and then it got so storied that actually in 1975, he had already passed, unfortunately, but in 1975, they decided to name a special cuvée, a special blend, their most prestigious bottling, after Sir Winston. So it's called Paul Roger Sir Winston. And to this day, it's their most prestigious and expensive bottling. And that's it. That's it, guys. That's champagne. I would love to talk to everyone about their perceptions of the champagne, if they like it, if they don't, the aromas, what they smell, what they taste, and yeah, have a little bit of fun. So who wants to go first and tell me what they smell here? Do we have anyone that's going to be bold, or should I call on someone? Let's see. I see Floor there.
Oh, I'm here. I didn't try it yet because I'm afraid I'm alone in my house and I have to finish the bottle all by myself.
You know what you can do?
I mean, I can do that, but
No, I'm glad you mentioned that actually. What you can do is you can obviously recork it. You're going to need a different cork than this, unfortunately, or you can get
okay.
any kind of stopper, to be honest with you, like literally any kind of stopper. You can even put tinfoil on top and throw it in the fridge, and
Okay.
it'll keep really well for like another day, maybe 48 hours with just the tinfoil. Um,
Okay.
the temperature is almost as important as oxygen at that point.
Cool. Yeah, I have the wine stopper that I usually use, so I'll probably
Yeah,
use
just use
that
one of
one.
those wine stopper things. Those are great.
Well, I'll just finish the bottle. It's fine. I just need to let a couple of hours more to work, and then I'll be able to do what you're doing right now.
I like it. All right, Allie, I know you're a fellow wino. What do you got for us?
Hey, hey,
Hi.
Alex, that was actually really awesome. And I'm just laughing reading everybody's comments about the flute um, discussion.
I haven't
It's
seen.
okay, guys. You can still use the flute and it'll keep your bubbles, in the glass a little longer. I guess it's based on preference. Do you want to smell the wine more or just have more bubbles when you taste? So just pick one and whatever makes you happy. I think this wine, Alex, it's very balanced. I get a subtle acidity on the nose and some nuttiness and butter. Personally, it's very dry, but it's also very, at least, on the, it's very not, it's very dry, but I also get a lot of green, green apple on the palate when I taste.
And there's good texture too, right? Like it's got some
Yeah.
body to it. It's not a lot of champagne can be, especially if you're talking like I'm not Moet. Everyone has their own favorites and their own taste preferences, but for me, Moet is too acidic, right? Like it's just almost stings on the palate when I drink it. So I try to look for something that's a little more full bodied and a little riper. And as you said, this wine is really balanced.
It's delicious. Thank you for doing this.
I have a question. I've done wine tasting and you're supposed to kind of like swirl the wine around. And so is there a specific method you're supposed to do with champagne when tasting champagne?
Good question. Glad you asked. Honestly, it's just so you can smell it better. And so you can do it with any wine, right? So the wine comes up in the glass and gets a little higher. Therefore, the aromas they concentrate on the top, and then you can smell it a little bit better. You also do it sometimes to aerate the wine to let it breathe. So this helps open it up faster. But typically champagne, you don't need to let it breathe for all that long. Red wine is a wine that any red wine really is a wine that you would want to have exposed to oxygen before drinking it. Do we have any other questions?
Yeah, what would be a great food pairing with this? I know that, some foods, enhance the wine and then others like dilute.
Great question. I can't believe I forgot to put this in the presentation. So champagne's this is why I love champagne. It's one of the most versatile wines for pairing. You can pair it almost with anything. I would say because it's fairly acidic, you're going to want something that's going to cut through that acidity. So look for something fatty. Swear to God, try it with fried chicken and tell me what you think. I think champagne and fried chicken is amazing. It's got it's got the saltiness from the fried chicken and the creaminess from the fat in the chicken. If you get a good wing, I think it works beautifully together and crunchy. And it's an awesome pairing. So don't be afraid to pair champagne with anything though. It doesn't have any tannins. It's low in alcohol. So tannins and alcohol are the two main things that clash with food in wine. So tannins are leftover like little molecules of the skins, the seeds, the stems, and that's what dries out your tongue when you're drinking. There are no tannins in white wine because it doesn't ferment on the skins, so it doesn't extract any color from the skins. So you're not going to have that problem. And then it's low in alcohol, so you can eat it you can drink champagne with spicy foods as well. It's not going to clash with the alcohol.
Great.
Yeah, so everyone try champagne and fried chicken. Do it. All right, so let's see who else here. I'm going to call on someone. And don't worry, honestly, tell me what you think about the wine. No one is wrong in this. Let's see. Maggie Carver. I don't know you, but nice to meet you.
For some reason, I knew I was going to get called. You know when you just feel like you're going to get called?
Go, Maggie.
Where are you, Maggie?
I'm actually in Denver right now.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm starting early.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, no. I really like this. I typically don't really drink champagne that often. Okay. I'm more of a wine drinker, but I really like this, and I like how it tastes really crisp, and I definitely agree that I kind of taste like a green apple or like a citrusy taste in it.
Definitely. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of green apple in this. It's really bright and fresh.
Yeah.
So I'm happy you mentioned the green apple too. So a lot of the more green flavors and aromas that you get in wine, in white wine specifically, is because the grapes might be a little less ripe, right? So champagne, as I mentioned, not a very warm environment. So there's high acidity and the grapes don't get as ripe. And that's why you get these more greener and fresher aromas from the champagne than you would from a white wine from California, let's say. All right, let's see who else here. Do I have anyone that let's see. Monica Agurto, you there? No, not listening or hiding. What about one of my VS Brooks friends? Anyone from VS Brooks, Alexander or Gabby? No? Well, does anyone have any other questions that they'd like to ask?
I'm going to share a link with the group because I'm a huge fan of Bill Murray, and Bill Murray has a hack on how you can drink an entire case of champagne that I would think would be a very good fun fact to walk away with.
I like it.
Without a headache.
I'm also a very big fan of Bill Murray. I see we have a lot of people who are team flute here.
Yes, we are.
All right.
Alex, I've got a question from my household.
Yeah, what's up?
The question is, what in your mind is like the best bang for the buck champagne?
Honestly, I think this is, but that's my personal preference. You gotta, everyone's gonna have different tastes, and you gotta just try as much as you can. So, maybe like once a week or something like that, go buy a bottle of champagne from a different producer and try it. I think champagne is one of those wines that unfortunately gets reserved for moments of celebration or the new year or, whatever. It's just special occasions, right? And that's great. I think that you should pop a bottle of champagne on a very special occasion, but I also don't think that people should be afraid of drinking it all the time. I think it's $50 for a bottle of champagne is not cheap. But that said, I think you're going to get really, really good value out of a $50 bottle, especially one like this. So try as much as you want and then see which one is your favorite. I think Taittinger makes some good champagne, Piper Heidsieck. I mean, a lot of those large houses still make really good base bottlings.
I generally like Veuve, but this is delicious.
Linda, what is your favorite thing about this?
It's very smooth. I like the brightness, so the freshness of it, and I like the fact that it is not oversweet. So,
yep,
it's really good. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I'm glad you like it. Let's see a show of hands. Who here doesn't like the champagne? Don't be afraid. Everyone's taste is different. It's okay. Do you have anyone that doesn't like it? Let's see. No? What about, so everyone likes it? Yeah? All right, that's good. That's great.
I had to go change glasses so I could do all the things that you suggested.
I've got a real student here. I love it.
Yes, my boss once told me that champagne didn't have as many calories as other beverages. And so every weekend I would stop off and